I'm Rick. My talk today will be on sort of developing yourself as a brand. It's not a wholehearted marketing talk. It's around about how you can develop yourself and project yourself in the best possible way in the recruitment market, as well as if you're a business, how you can best sell yourself to developers and people wanting to join the business. So first things first, I need to clear this up. Don't shoot me, I am a recruiter. I am the evil one, or should I say, the evil one. But seriously, I've been doing this for about 5 years now in pole recruitment. I've been to a couple of Yapsies now. I've spoken to a couple of Yapsies. I've been to Dutch Pole Workshop, yay, which I'll go to again. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. Now, when I asked Mark, could I do a non-technical talk, and could I do it for 50 minutes, which I've been a bit brazen for, worrying I'm now not got enough time. I said, what I won't do is I won't plug my business. I won't make loads of references to the fact I'm hiring. So this is not an advertisement. Just leave that there for a second. So branding, it's more than a logo or more than a CV. But what does that mean? I guess, why is it so important? Why is projecting yourself so important? Because in a competitive market as it is, both in hiring and both in looking for work, we need to be above our competition. We need to stand apart. And that's more than just for a company, a careers page, or for a developer, a CV. But we'll come on to all of that shortly. So let's talk about candidates, which I appreciate most people here would be looking for work. So, is it all about the CV? Yes, that's a vital tool. Yes, that's the first impression people will get. But is it all about that? It does give a clear insight to who you are. It is a snapshot of your experience. So it's who you are on paper. But the question you need to ask yourself, is it everything? Is everything I've got on here me? Does that project me in the best possible way? So, and how should our CV look? So if we do this in stages, first things first, as someone who receives a lot of CVs, please do it in Word. It's PDFs, when we have to convert it to Word to send it out and put it on our system, it goes skew with. If we can try and condense it to Word, that'd be amazing. So personal details, and then I like to talk about a profile. So this again is telling us who you are. It's objective, because most hiring managers will tell you, they will skim through a CV in about 2.5 seconds. And what's going to stand out from that? It's the first bit they see, it's who you are. So showcase that, show who you are. And then the technical skills, I don't know if the slide's clear enough for you to see. But what I always encourage people to do is to take off the massive list of skill set that maybe you've touched on about 10 years ago. Show the main three areas of what you do and demonstrate that in a bit more detail. So which I assume will be Perl, we put Perl, then we put the frameworks and stuff we've worked with. Really make that clear. I guess, and then we move on to the career details. Put where you've worked on there, the dates and stuff you've worked. Now this is a different one. This is the first time I'm starting to encourage people to do this. Is put in about the environment in which that was in. So what I mean by that? So was it agile? What was the team structure? What was the management structure? How did that work? And why do you say that's important? Because if you're going into a business where it's a very corporate structure, and you've worked in that corporate structure, it's much more evident from your CV from that. And vice versa if it's more free-flowing agile. Projects, key projects. You'll be amazed to know, and I appreciate this may be teaching people to suck eggs, but I'm going to go over it anyway, is a lot of people don't put their projects on their CV. So what have you done in that business? Why have you done it? What were you involved with? And what I always like as well is to talk about sort of key achievements. So always try and put between 2 and 3 key achievements on that CV, because that's, again, it's going to be something a hiring manager is going to pull the detail from and really look at. So again, it just it's showcasing you in the best possible way. It's the best way to indicate how we do that. So, and again, tech meetups. If you do go to tech meetups, such as the London Pearl Workshop, let's put that on there. Again, events, if you've published anything, and showcase your interests as well. And that's not sort of long walks on the beach and stuff like that. That's a real sort of, what are you interested in tech? What technologies are you playing with at home? Why are you playing with it? Showcase that. Again, it's all about showing who you are. And again, you'll know this better than I will. If you don't already, let's contribute to CPAN and stuff like that. Get your stuff out there. People really like to see your passion, etc. Showing what you're doing, showing why you're doing it. It's all about that wider circle of your personal brand, as we like to call it. So further to that, are you blogging? And what are you blogging about? It's not so much you're talking about tech, but what are you talking about it? Is it positive? Is it new? Is it new technologies you're playing with? I'm going to mention this further later, but it must remain positive. There's nothing worse than when a hiring manager will see your CV, and immediately what they'll do is they'll Google you, and if there's a whole raft of negative statements, it just detracts from your personal brand. So, social profile. It's more, again, this is where we talk about more than just a CV. It's the wider web, I guess. So talking about other areas of what you are. Because again, people will draw that out. People will search for you on Facebook. They'll search for you on LinkedIn. And it's just about having that up to scratch. Remember, it's all about the profile. A lot of the time, you can be hired on the basis of your profile ahead of the CV. So let's make sure we've got that all sorted. So I guess a vital thing is, and it'd be amazing, is does it match? Does your LinkedIn profile match your CV? Do we even have a LinkedIn profile to start off with? Let's keep it updated. Let's make sure it's got detail on it. Because a lot of the time you'll see, I'll get a CV in, I'll think, oh look, let's check them out on LinkedIn, and it'll be like one line from about 10 years ago. Let's keep that updated, because again, it's another window into who you are. It's another aspect of what you're doing. But I hasten to add, and this is a vital thing that that's not always encouraged, when it should be, is we must keep it professional. Does anyone know who that is?
Was she the lawyer who was complimented on her photograph and then...
She was indeed. That is Charlotte Crowden. Now, Charlotte had an unfortunate conversation with a senior figure in her field who was complimenting her over the social network. But let's keep it professional. That's not a professional thing to do. Let's utilise the language in which we do as well. And remember, focusing on LinkedIn, it's not Facebook. So that's the mass challenges, that's all that sort of thing around it. What are you doing? It's not good. If you're going to post on LinkedIn, post about tech stuff, post about things you've worked with, things you've played with, post your blogs on there. Make it really tech specific. I guess also, which we don't always cover, is do we have a photo? There's nothing worse than when you're getting looked through a profile, just a grey screen. People want to again see who you are. Again, it's another window into yourself. But again, word of warning: Do we have a photo? But then again, do we have a photo? It's something we're always constantly working on. But pictures of you and your mates having a few beers, probably not the best for LinkedIn. It's always a good professional headshot, or the cartoony thing people are looking at these days. But yeah, let's just be clear on what our picture looks like. So, are we getting viewed? How are we doing that? That's again by you're more likely. I think they said it's 10 times. You're 10 times more likely to get viewed if you have a photo. So that's going to push that up. And why is that important? Because it pushes your profile up on when you type in Perl Developer or whatever you type in on LinkedIn. The more you have around it, the more SEO'd it is, the more views you're going to get because it's going to come up first. So let's look into that. Then, I guess, to like or to comment, that is the question. What do I mean by that? So again, I'm sure you'll know this, but if you like something, you appear in other people's news feeds. However, you get more traction if you comment. Again, let's go back to our previous conversation. Let's keep that professional on what they're commenting. Whether you agree with them or not on what they're saying, and say one of the Perl groups, let's keep it professional, but let's keep it encouraging as well. And again, you're far more likely to get picked up if you're sharing articles from LinkedIn. And again, endorsements. Again, these aren't the be-all and end-all, but we need to make sure we get endorsed for the right thing. Again, let's try and this pushes you up again on the rating on the reviews on LinkedIn. And I appreciate it's pretty much recruiters that use LinkedIn, but it's an amazing tool at the same time. Again, recommendations. I talk a lot about recommendations. What I'm always key on is peer references. And what I mean by that is, if you're coding away in person and you're sat next to someone who also is coding away, you get so much more weight if that person recommends you. Yes, they're probably your friend, but I can work with this person. I know how they work. This is how they work. It's a real powerful tool. I always say I placed a candidate off the back of a LinkedIn profile with one recommendation, and it's just a way to build that because it's the recommendation is such a powerful tool. It's such a thing you can see and draw out of. You get so much more from it. So if you haven't done already, I would encourage you to send these recommendation emails to colleagues you've worked with, especially if they're well respected within the market. It just adds weight to your CV. Again, I can't stress how powerful tool that actually is. Now, let's move on to Twitter. Now, I'm sure we're all on Twitter. If not, I always recommend the Perl Rick Twitter account. It's an amazing, full of insight and wit all the time. But again, let's talk about, like we spoke about earlier about professional. It is important what we say. Again, we must talk about. Again, it's important to talk about the tech side of things. I keep going back on this. I apologise for repeating the same point, but it's all about showing who you are. Again, this is a tool. I know a company I work with who they will follow you on Twitter for 2 days before approaching you, just to get a feel for what you're talking about. And I spoke to the recruitment manager there, and I asked him why he was doing this, and he said because I've been turned off so many times by people who have negative Twitter profiles, who are just talking about the wrong sort of thing, who are encouraging the wrong sort of thing, like Miss Hopkins here. Again, always be positive. No one likes to read negative comments all the time. And whereas in any other aspect of the world, Silence is not golden. No one likes to see someone, the last time they tweeted was in August 2012. It's important how we're up to date with that. We're utilising, talking about the new things that are coming out, and I guess for you guys, Pulse 6 would be good things to start tweeting about. Now let's move on to the wider range of of how we conduct ourselves at work. How we behave in work does really matter. It's a reputational thing, because people remember that. People remember how you worked with someone, and always remember that reputation can stick. Are we all aware of this, gentlemen? Is so it carries your mind for a long time. Nick Leeson here had some issues with a bank in which he cost a lot of money and a lot of people jobs. I appreciate we never get to this point, but again, he's never really going to get an investment job again. But our reputation can do wonders for us. We can get jobs on the back of our reputation. It is word of mouth. So yes, you can go through me as a recruiter, and I always encourage you to do so. You can get jobs via word of mouth if you know people, if you have a good reputation in the market. But you can change your reputation through hard work and through community work. But again, I'm going to leave this one with you. It is a matter of opinion on reputation. So, I'm not commenting either way on that one. Those of you who know me will probably know my feelings on that. So, let's talk about the community. Are we known in the community? If we're here, this is a great start. Are we commenting on ILC? Again, I'm going to hark back to are we commenting on the right things on ILC? Are we saying the right things on it? Are we known in the community? The community is the best way for you to find employment, the best way for you to promote your brand. And I guess when we do get to the point where I want to leave my current company, how do we do that? So, how do we leave? How do we leave our employer? Just sort of remember, people do have long memories. I've not seen that film, by the way, but they count as long. People remember how you do it. And also, what we can't forget is if you leave one hiring manager in the wrong way over here, what's to say in 2 jobs' time that hiring manager is now over here, and you're now going back to that. So always remember how we leave. You can leave a company in the right way, without harming your reputation. So I'm going to move now swiftly on to come from the company perspective. So whether you're a hiring manager here, I don't know, or whether you work for a company, it may be always good to have a chat with them about how they approach their recruitment, how they approach their branding within the recruitment field. And again, as I said, I'm not here to advertise a helpful blog, which I wrote, is in the program today. It's also on our website. It goes into a bit more detail about what I'm going to speak about here. So you can find that on the Legal website. So I guess for a company, the first thing to do is let's take an inward look at ourselves. Let's look at what we're doing. I guess what are we doing right? Are we finding the right developers? How are we finding them? Are we doing it the best way possible? Or I guess what are we not doing so right? So I guess one of the best things to do is to ask your current employees. You should really ask them why they love working at your company. I love a pun, by the way. It's why do they come to work every day? Why do they get up in the morning? Is it the technology? Is it the environment? Is it the hiring manager? or the line manager as it would be then? Is it the benefits, which I'll come on to in a minute? So the best way to do that is an internal survey within the company. Why do you come here? Why have you been with me for X amount of years? It's always important to do that. I guess, and then we need to look at our reputation within the market. I actually did some research into companies with the best reputation, and on management today, these are the top 4. And quite curiously, Volkswagen was on that as well. So I'm not sure how much weight we give to that. So I guess the question we need to ask ourselves as a hiring manager or as a business owner, is how recognisable is our brand? I guess we all know there's a large Pearl House in Amsterdam, because they have that brand recognition, because it's more than just it's more than just a logo. There's a whole aspect behind that, and I guess these are all rhetorical. But how do we earn that reputation? Is it really earned? I guess, and then we need to look at sometimes our brands aren't as good, and how do we change that? So a good way of doing that is, as you know, the internet will tell you. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but if we Google the ones we haven't written ourselves, reviews on the websites, to see what they're saying, how's that reflecting in our business? Is it what we want to reflect? And sometimes it's a good way to do that. Look on Twitter, look at what people are saying. And then more of an inward look, again, is if we move to our website. Quite often you'll see every company has a careers page. Is that up to date? There's nothing worse again seeing jobs that were posted 2012 that went outdated in 2012. It's important we constantly update that. It's important we project what we want to project. And even if you don't have any vacancies at a business, it's always important to have something on there. Talk about the type of roles you would have, and the type of people you want to work with, maybe social profiles. And I guess, are we using the most modern technology? Again, this is an inward question for you to ask. Are we adopting what's coming out? Because it's what people want to utilise. How to integrate that, I'll leave that up to you. But again, it's what people come to work to do, is play with the new technologies, use them. And I guess management style. Are we allowing our staff to have freedom, or are we telling them every step of the way what we do? Yes, I appreciate there are junior members of staff that need that encouragement, but if you've got senior guys, let them fly. Let them take ownership. Let them take control. Because a happy team will set it for you. They'll go to events, which hopefully you guys pay for, and they'll talk about what a great company it is to work for. What a great environment, how amazing my line manager is, how amazing my IT director is. They'll sell that for you. It's much easier than trying to do it yourself. I guess there's one thing we can't always deal with, and it's a matter of course is we're always going to have the X that leaves. So a good way of reflecting the brand is find out why they've left, get their initial feedback, because you'll often find the reason people have left are progression, because they want more money, which will come to in a minute. But they also say, if we go back to our management slide, People don't leave bad businesses, they leave bad bosses. So it's about looking at ourselves and looking at how we're approaching this. So I'm keen to leave some time for some questions. I'm a little bit ahead. But let's talk, is it all about the money? Are we paying market rate? It's a question that I guess I get asked all the time, is what's the difference between what we're rating on a technical standpoint, what people feel you're worth, and what the market's saying? They often conflict. So it's about how we address that in the business. And quite often it's more than money, it's more than just money, it's also about the package. So what I mean by that is do you have the healthcare benefits and all that sort of thing? There's a lot more around it people are doing. But then I guess we need to ask ourselves, is it all about beer and table tennis? So if we have a table tennis table, if we're beer, oh yeah, we're definitely a cool company to work for. Are you really? Is that everything? Are we doing that because we have to? Or are we doing that because we want to? There is a difference, and people will know that is a difference. I guess, are we offering progression? Are we offering people the step up? How are we doing that? I appreciate there's always going to be a pyramid in a business, but are we allowing our senior developers to mentor? Are we encouraging them to take ownership of projects? There's so many aspects around that. And I guess also, are we investing in our staff? A common thing I get from candidates is, I want obviously the money and all that's important, but I want investment in training. I want to be put on courses. I want to learn further. So people will stay. If you're constantly offering new ideas, new training aspects, paying people to go on courses and to learn, then you get such a much better aspect to it. And also, are we known in the community? Again, are we sponsoring events? Are we taking ownership of that? And I guess we've also done what can I do? We've looked at ourselves. We can invest in our time and stuff like that. But I guess only you guys have the answer to that question. Are we doing everything right? Are we investing in our staff? Are we investing in training? Are we paying the right rate? These are all questions we should be asking ourselves to do, and I can sit with people and go through market rate and stuff like that, and then develop from there. So I guess I'm currently running at 35 minutes, so we've got 15 minutes time for questions. Whether that's questions on what I've said, whether that's questions on you vehemently disagree with what I said, hopefully not, or whether that's just questions about the general market. But now, as I've finished my actual talk, this is an advertisement. So this is an ad. Yeah, questions, thoughts. Anyone found? Let's talk about the market and technical rate. Anyone found often that the rate you're looking for is not always the rate that companies are offering? Anyone finding issues around that? Anyone?
Unrelated to that, but how important do you rate things like LinkedIn? Because I kind of half-heartedly update it every 6 months, but that's about as much as I want.
There are various different schools of thought on that. As a recruiter, we love LinkedIn. It's what we do. We sit on it more than probably anyone else does. But I think it just adds weight to your CV. Maybe not so much if you're not looking for work and you're comfortable in looking for work. But if you are, it just helps support your application, I think although generally you'll normally find the person that's looking for work is the person that's updating their LinkedIn profile. But it is a really good, strong supporting statement to that CV. Yes.
Do you see more developers looking for work, or more companies looking for developers, or is it evenly matched? Or
We're in what we call a very much candidate-driven market. So there are a lot of companies who are looking, and I always hasten to add, I always try to make my talks positive, but there's a lot of negativity around the whole market's dying. There's not any jobs. That is just not true. There are lots of jobs out there. So there are plenty of jobs. If you are looking or you are looking for work, there are often a number of opportunities, both at junior, mid-level and senior, across the board, both in London and out on the outskirts, and up north as well.
Sorry, I was late, so I missed your talk, unfortunately.
That was amazing, by the way.
Sorry for it. But I noticed, I mean, some companies give tests.
Yes.
And then of course there's always, people that have, code that's, functional on their website that can show what they've done. How do you weigh that against like a good CV and or an interview, or do you find that companies fall back on these tests, or like how would you describe?
Quite often there's an issue because a lot of the companies I work with do tests, and it's not so much. I think we've moved on from the days of that. Do you know X is the answer to X question A, B, or C. I think gone are those days of the obscure Perl test that no one really knows the answer to. It's more about how we're approaching stuff. So you'll get a varying test. They all vary differently, but they're all very similar as well. And how we're approaching that, what type of code we're using in that. But doesn't always, but quite often if you've got code out there already on CPAN and stuff like that, you can generally bypass that. Or if we know someone within the business, peer references are often quite more telling, and peer references is someone we've worked with before. It's holds a lot more weight, I feel.
Yes. Talked about Googling people.
I did.
Let's say you've got a candidate who's got a very common name, like John Davis. What do you do then when you try Googling them? Because you're going to get about 10 million of us, and I'm probably number 9,800,000.
Change your name. Very cheap UK.
You can always be found.
When did you start working for the NSA?
I've got that too. You can always find something. There's various ways of searching and stuff like that. So you can always find someone. But I'd say not every company does it, but quite a lot do it.
What I'm trying to get at is I get 10 million, and I don't know what's I'm looking for work, and I'm trying to find out what people are seeing about me, and I don't know which John Davis they're finding. So.
We can do an experiment. If we had Wi-Fi, we could do an experiment. But we can have a look at that, and I can sit here with that. Anything else?
I do I scrub my past history online.
I'm going to leave that one to you.
As a recruiter, have you noticed yet any problems, I guess perception problems with Perl, the name referring to two things at the same time? Perl 5 and Perl 6.
To be honest, at the moment I've not come across much on the Perl 6 side of things. But in terms of perception of Perl, that's something I think we've all spoken about at length over the years.
Yes, but we have as a community, but I'm asking you as a recruiter, which is a little different.
I guess the only one I can talk about is the people I speak to. So if we're speaking to junior candidates for a Perl business, let's take that as an example. I often get people who say, no, I'd rather learn Python, I'd rather learn PHP. But it's not until we explain what we can get from Perl is when we can really sell them back into it. So yes, there is still that slight negative connotation to it. But there is a lot of height. I was talking to someone last night. There is a lot of height, not just in the Pearl bubble, but outside of that, around about the Pearl 6, and how that's affected. And people outside of our world are aware of that. So we're halfway there. We're getting there. Anything else? Sweet. We're a little bit early. So yes, I heard someone shout for coffee. Yes. You can get it from the